The depth drop is a great exercise to start working on some plyometric progressions and start to prepare the body for impact and loading. Especially for our adults, for older adults, we want to make sure that we're actually preparing the body's connective tissue, your frame, so your bones and your muscle tissues for jumping, as it is, well, very high impact and a lot of load going through your frame. So I recommend starting with our most basic progression, your depth drop. Here in this video, I'm dropping from about 18 inches of height. I recommend for new clients who are just getting back into jumping to start this simply from, well, 6 inches of height. What I'm doing is stepping straight forward off of that box, bench, step, or stair, and I'm working on absorbing the landing. So the goal here is to try to think about it's almost like a speed squat as I sit the hips down and I stick that bottom position. Notice how I'm going down essentially into a squat position with that landing every time. So, what we're working on here is absorbing and being soft for this variation. You'll see several different variations where it's essentially landing as hard as you comfortably can. For this progression and for that long term development of training and using plyometrics, we want to focus on that absorption that you'll see me doing here. Once I've mastered this absorption, what I can do is start to go up a little bit higher. So, working up to 12 inches. From there, I have the option to add in what we call a depth drop into a counter movement jump or essentially your squat jump. It's exactly what it sounds like. So I'm doing the depth drop. I'm working on power application versus working on that quickness and that speed. Okay. So that means I don't care about how long it takes me. I want to work on trying to jump as high as I possibly can in that squat jump, and then the landing I'm taking in the squat jump for the example of this video is essentially still a softer landing, but this is where you can start to work on loading your frame more. So, an example of this is I start with my depth drops and just working on developing, absorbing over the course of weeks. From there, I add in my depth drop into my squat jump, and I work on when I'm landing from that squat jump, just absorbing and continuing to practice that eccentric loading and getting the sequencing down correctly so that I minimize the stress on my hips and knees. From there, especially with my clients who have osteoporosis, what we'll start to work on is a depth drop off the box or bench, a squat jump as high as possible, and then landing as hard as they comfortably can, meaning we're not jarring joints. We want them to land and make some noise on the impact to get some force going through their frames, but we want to make sure it's still comfortable. So, talking about the landing and jumping technique specifically on the placement of your body, what we're looking for in this drop and land, the sticking the jump, whether I'm coming off the ground again or whether I'm just doing the depth drop, is we want the feet shoulder width apart. The knees should be in line with the feet. It is normal when you're jumping for the arms to swing back as you go down and the arms swing up with you as you jump up. Think about this as I'm using the momentum, that weight of my arms and that arm swing to help to propel my mass as far up as I can to help to maximize the distance that I'm traveling. So, with this exercise, we're thinking at the bottom of this movement is essentially my squat technique. So, my feet are out a little bit wider. I'm sinking my hips back. One thing I'll cue whenever people are landing on the ground is the ball of my foot makes contact first, and then I'm absorbing onto my heel, but I'm able to then push myself up through that whole foot to drive up off the ground from there. The most common thing that I'm cueing with my clients in doing this is listening to their landing. So making sure that they are truly landing softly, getting their feet wider in the landing. A lot of people will land this and have super narrow feet. That's going to decrease your ability to produce force. The third thing would essentially be getting them to pay attention to their posture. When we're dropping off of that surface, I have to work to absorb that force. If I'm not able to maintain my posture at the bottom and I'm rounding and crumbling forward, I'm losing that benefit of training my core strength and training my core's ability to react to those forces. So, those are the three most common things that I'm coaching with my clients when we're doing our depth drops and any jumping technique. Have fun.